Welcome to the Warframe Weapon Encyclopedia, where today we're checking out the Fulmin. You can get a blueprint for the Fulmin from the market, and the weapon is actually surprisingly cheap. You have 25,000 credits, 2,100 rubido, 7,500 nanospores, 2 argon crystals, and 350x xenon. The Fulmin is a Mastery Rank 8 primary that comes with 2 fire modes. The first one is a semi-auto mode, which is kind of like a short-range shotgun blast that does primarily electricity with some impact on the side, and it has good crit and status. The secondary fire mode is full auto, and this one does primarily electricity with the secondary damage type being puncture, and it also has good crit and status, even though the status is a little bit lower, but since it is full auto, it's actually more than enough. You switch between the 2 fire modes by pressing the secondary fire button, and there's actually a very cool animation to it, where your Warframe will either put on or remove a suppressor. And one final thing here, the semi-auto mode, so the short-range shotgun blast, fires an Arcaplasmor-esque projectile. It's much smaller, but it acts in a very similar way, and it has a force impact proc if you hit an enemy within 9 meters. Which is why, if you want to focus on the semi-auto mode, I would actually recommend an internal bleeding build. Because not only are you getting a guaranteed impact proc on anything that's closer than 9 meters, you also have low enough fire rate to get double the benefit of internal bleeding. This does, however, make the effective range of the weapon 9 meters, which is actually not too bad for a shotgun, and it's also somewhat unreliable because the status chance isn't super high, so if you don't get any viral procs, it's not that great. But as far as the semi-auto builds go for the Fulmin, this is probably the best one you can have, especially if you invest more into it and you get galvanized mods as well as an arcane. Now, if you want a build that's more tailored towards the full auto mode, but still works in the primary mode, I would recommend a Hunter Munitions build instead, which is gonna look something like this. This is definitely a more flexible build that has better scaling in the endgame, and it actually works for both fire modes, unlike the internal bleeding one, which doesn't really do much in the full auto mode. And the build is also cheaper as far as investment goes, you're gonna need 1 less forma for it. It is, however, not quite as good for the semi-auto mode as the internal bleeding build, so if you really want to focus on the semi-automatic shotgun blast, go for the internal bleeding build instead. The Fulmin is a really good weapon. It's cheap, it's fairly strong, and it's fun. And it also comes with essentially infinite ammo because you have a 60-round magazine that recharges on its own, and both the delay on the recharging as well as the speed of the recharging are very good. Now, since this is the signature weapon of the Wisp frame, there is a little bit of interaction between the two, where if you're using it on Wisp, you can switch between the fire modes much faster. Though this is ultimately not that big of a deal since you're most likely going to be building for one or the other, so you're not going to be switching between them all that often. So I would absolutely recommend you give the Fulmin a shot. It's a really fun weapon that's plenty strong. It will get you through pretty much the entire game and most sorties as well, though it's not all that powerful in Steel Path, but on the other hand, it is also very cheap. And as always, guys, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.